Hi, I'm Marco of eco&eco company. Eco&eco that is one of the Italian project partners. At the moment I live in Valle d'Aosta, a really super mountainous region in the north of Italy that is basically made by a single large valley. Today I want to take you with me along a segment of the river that flows in this valley to share with you what my eyes as an ecologist see. Here we go. Here we are at an altitude of 9,000 meters. In the background you can see the Monte Bianco. I wanted to take you to a segment of the river in the Piedmont because here the water has, or later it should have, the space and the energy needed to acquire its own personality. Further upstream, in fact, the river remains confined between thin rigid banks and moves in a chaotic way difficult to study. While, from here on, as we see, it can model its forms which will be the subject of our evaluation. A small preview. All my observations will focus on two key words: diversity and continuity. Let's go. The first thing we notice when we approach a river is the area that floats from time to time by waters. You can recognize it because with slight slopes it goes into the riverbed without making big jumps. Here around me you can see an alluvial plain in good ecological state. It has been colonized by a dense mixed forest of typical species of these areas. These species are adapted to the constant humidity of the soil and therefore are typical of the natural river ecosystem. I look for the presence of the leading species, in this case alders and willow, and for the underlying herbaceous level, colonized by reeds. We have diversity, and I add the right diversity. There is also transversal continuity because this buffer zone of vegetation is about 100 meters wide. What we don't have, however, is the longitudinal continuity. You cannot see it, but 100 meters upstream and 200 meters downstream, the forest is completely interrupted by human activity. It's like being on an island, and this ruins everything. Here we are in the riverbed. At the moment the river is at its lowest flow. Here, when there is more water, it floods entire alluvial plains seen before, and energy in the riverbed is strong, and it moves boulders and woods that then get stuck in the middle of the riverbed or settle on the sides when the flow drops. When the flow drops even more, like now, the water is no longer able to move neither pebbles and gravels, which occasionally accumulate, like here. Different sediments generate different flows: rapids, riffles, and pools. Here is our diversity at the habitat scale, very important especially for fishes. Other things that can be found are under-excavated banks and roots inside the water, but they are mostly found in segments with slower flows. Instead, there is a lack of large roots stuck in the water. The ones you can see resting here and there will probably be taken away at the first flood. Probably the situation is unnatural due to the decline lines of man. But, as you will have understood, diversity is not enough. We need continuity, which is endangered downstream by a dam and upstream by a bridle. For small aquatic animals are important especially two things. One, the features of their home, type of sediment and flow speed. And two, the presence of food, which here in the Piedmont rivers are mainly leaves and twigs. The diversity that we have found in the habitats is also useful on a smaller scale. There are boulders, pebbles, gravels and sands deposited because there are different flows. However, it must be said that sands and silts abound here. It's an effect of the downstream dam which, when it raises the barrier, slows down the flow a lot. This is a big alteration for animals that are so small and don't make big movements. Probably there will be effects on the community, maybe with the disappearance of the more sensitive species. In addition, the lack of large roots in the riverbed prevents the food to be retained. Apart from the dam and the bridle, there are no other major alterations here. You can see some bank defense there, and in general some bank erosion. But it is due to the fine sediments which, as we have said, are unnatural in this section. As soon as the dam empties, the water has enough energy to remove them quickly. The ecological assessment doesn't tell us much about the chemical status of the water, but it can give us a clue. We can pick up the pebbles and feel if they are covered or not by a lot of periphyton. Periphyton is very important for the ecology of the river, but not if it's too much. In these cases, it becomes a thick and visible slime layer and also smelly. In a segment where the water flows fast, it shouldn't be there, and here we haven't. Instead, its presence could indicate an excess of nutrients, in particular nitrogen and phosphorus, usually deriving from a nearby urban drains. Therefore, we are observing a river segment in a quite good ecological state, but that it's contained in a matrix that it's too enterprised to guarantee good functionality of the entire river. We need to do more to protect them.